And guess what God did also? God allowed them and he turned them over to the evil that was in their heart. And man's heart became so wicked because they were constantly rebelling against God.
They say what you praying for. Jesus, he's our present hope.
Yeah. This is Everyday Preachers answering everyday questions. Right back at you.
Did God create evil? I'm just going to talk about it just a little bit and go to another one. I already got into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, but because this is what they're doing today, they are, because in the last times that we're living in, people will be lovers of themselves. They'll be going after their own teachers. They want people to just do what they're gonna want to do what they want to do, and they're gonna be challenging God. This is what we see today, constantly challenging God. Well, God is the one who created this. God came up with this, and why did God create evil? And let me read the scripture. Um, he said this in Isaiah 45, verse 7. And since we already went over it, I'm just going to go through it kind of quick because I just remembered. I think my pastor went through this. And I think it's somewhere out there on YouTube. You can go find it, I'm sure. He says in Isaiah 45, 7, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace, national well-being, and I create physical evil, calamity. I am the Lord who does all these things. Nothing that is made, Colossians bring this out, was made without God. And even with this scripture, and I think he exegetes this scripture before. And it's not that God is saying he directly, watch this, I'm just gonna make all this evil happen to man, and then it's just gonna come directly from me. We go back to Genesis, man's rebellion against God. And even when we go back to the book of Genesis, God created everything perfect. What did Adam do? Adam fell. And so when Adam fell, guess what? Now Adam in a place of just darkness based off what he did. And we talked about this before. We talked about free will. We're okay with free will as long as it's going our way. When it said, oh yeah, man, this is good, this is good. But when something seems to go bad, as we see it bad, then we start wanting to blame God. But ultimately, God is in control of everything. Let's go to the flood. I want to bring this point out also about the flood of Noah. So the question is, did God bring the flood? Yes, God was the one bringing the flood. Why did he bring the flood? Because man's heart in Genesis chapter 6 had gotten to a place that was so evil. And Satan was he was actually after Jesus. We can see this from Genesis chapter 3. And the bruising of Christ's heel, and Christ crushed his head, so on and so forth. But we see that in Genesis chapter 3. So when we get in Genesis 6, and I'm getting to the scripture, even Isaiah 47, because I think it leads up to that. But man's heart was so bad that Satan was coming after that seed. He knew which line the seed of the Redeemer that was coming through. But God preserved Noah and his family to make sure that the Redeemer was going to still come thousands of years later, so we can come into salvation. So what God did, God brought about the flood, and he destroyed all mankind except Noah and his family. So did God bring this evil about, or did God bring the darkness about? Did God bring this about? It was the evilness in man's heart that caused it, because God gave a certain law. God said, you do this and I'll do this. Man rebelled against it. And because they rebelled against it, and guess what God did also? God allowed them and he turned them over to the evil that was in their heart. And man's heart became so wicked because they were constantly rebelling against God. So ultimately, it cannot happen without God. But because of man's free will, and through their free will, they decided, God gave them choice, that this is how they're going to go. And this is the route they're going to go through or go to. And so God is the one, even in believers today, that forms the light, you can say. when he saved you.
Wow.
The darkness, where did darkness come from? Darkness, listen, y'all, I don't understand all of this, but darkness is deeper than Satan. Who made Satan fall? What happened there? I mean, so was darkness there before him? So my point is that God does not have a contender like he's contending with darkness, but ultimately it is God behind it all, allowing it to happen. But he's given man what is already in them and allowing them to go the route that they're going so they can see without him, man is nothing.
That's good.
And so I just stopped there, but there's I know my pastor, he dealt with that. And so if you need more elaboration on that, you can I'm sure put that in and find more on that.
They say what you